What's good? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chuck. We like to talk about investing in the Pokemon market on this channel. Thank you so much for being here today. Hope you have had a great week so far. We're going to get right into it. The topic of this video today is discussing the investment opportunity for the next rotation happening in April. I believe April 11th is the date. All sets labeled G, which is Scarlet and Violet base through Paldean Fates, are being rotated out of the actual trading card game. Typically what that means is that we are done getting a product for that set entirely. At that point, it is completely done. And oftentimes what happens with the prices is that they go up quite rapidly. This is typically where you see the most gains in products, is when they are fully out of rotation, like Crown Zenith. Recently went out of rotation. It has had a big run up since going out, obviously being a popular set. We're going to go through every single set, talk about the set values, talk about the cards, talk about the best products I think that we should be looking at, because I don't think anybody's planning on buying Scarlet and Violet base per se, but if there are investment opportunities in front of you at a good price right now, I don't think it's going to ever be a better time to get these products for that reason. And when the holiday season picks up, and the next year, we enter the next year, these sets are going to be more expensive than they are right now. And there's going to be more attention on them because there's going to be more attention on G sets being rotated out. So to start, Scarlet and Violet base, I think, is very interesting because in my last video, Probe's seen the auction company, consignment company, on eBay. They were selling a lot of Scarlet and Violet base bundles, cases, single boxes. What I've noticed is that investors are moving into the set. Part of that reason could be just because there's a lot of Gardevoir hype with the upcoming Mega Evolution set. But also because a lot of people consider this to be the best base set of all time, at least of recent history of modern sets and so on. Not including original base set, of course. But definitely better than Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon, all the way down through XY and so on. But with that being said, the set value is not very high. There isn't any super duper mega chase cards, as there tends to be in base sets. But this one is definitely the best. You have this Gardevoir line with Ralts and Kirlia, which is a lovely trio. I think the Gardevoir is very stylized, very intentional with their design. It's not going to be for everybody, but it is, in my opinion, a card that does the Pokemon justice well. Miriam, very popular trainer, very great art, I might add. Definitely has some potential to run once the set is fully out of print and rotation. The Drowsy, I know, was like kind of hyper shield, pumped like crazy, came back down. I do think the art itself is pretty cool, and in real life it actually looks quite nice. There's a lot to like in this set: Slowpoke, Riolu, Miraidon, Koraidon, etc. Beyond that, nothing really to say, but as far as base sets go, it's pretty good. The booster box has run up to $225-ish dollars, give or take a few dollars here and there. Comfortably in this range. Guys, typically, you might look at this volume and think, man, nothing really happening here. For a base set, this is pretty impressive. Where you have, 73 sold in a month, over one a day. Look, we are seeing a consolidation in this low 200 price point. It won't be long before this is pushing 250. And the reason why I say 250 is because there are 380 boxes currently listed on TCG Player. That is quite a bit of sale, or that is quite a bit of quantity. $261 is the median price listed, which means about half of them are up to $261. So if you break it down, like 190, or I guess, yeah, like 200 boxes, basically, a 50% sell-through rate is not terrible, but it doesn't mean that this set is going to move anytime soon unless you get a lot of manipulation, we'll say, for lack of a better word, coming in and rapidly increasing that sell-through rate. So, expect more sales for this box in the short term and in the midterm. And then I think probably around the holiday season and then early next year, I could see SV base starting to kind of whisper in the conversation of like a $300 box as the next few months kind of go up to April. It's kind of my prediction. I don't see it getting above like 270 throughout this year. Maybe it can happen, but expect kind of a steady growth. I think there are better opportunities in the market, obviously. And when you consider, one thing I wanted to talk about, when you consider like the upcoming quality of the Mega Block with Rayquaza, Charizard X, you've seen the leaks, the card's incredible. A lot of attention is going to be taken away, in my opinion, from the Scarlet and Violet era as a whole. Maybe that's not true because these sets are getting older in age. There's kind of a perceived lower risk involved, and so more money will flood into the good sets. Scarlet and Violet base is not going to be one of them, but it will do pretty decent. And it's a relatively safe investment with a relatively capped ROI, in my opinion. Moving on, the second set that came out June 8th, 2023, over 2 years old. We're not getting any more booster boxes of this set. Almost certainly, anything is possible. Historically, that has just not been the case for booster boxes, typically. So, the Pokemon Company, they have a lot to print right now. There's a lot of attention everywhere. Everything is sold out. I don't think they're going to be looking at Paldea Evolved as a set, that's being rotated out in April. Why would they put resources into this set that already has a lot of product out there? Maybe you'll look at bundles or blisters or I don't know, some other ancillary product or collection boxes or whatever, but booster boxes are probably done. Now, the actual cards themselves, I think it's a good set. It's a very strong set. Obviously, the Shinji Magikarp really is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. In a PSA 10, extremely low pop. We know this. Good luck finding a raw card that's gradable in a 10. Probably doesn't exist at this point outside of a handful. Iono, pulled this myself. It's Iono. Who really cares that much? Although it is a good Iono card if you're into trainers and that sort of thing. I actually quite like the Raichu. I'm into this, this type of style. I like Raichu as a Pokemon. Tyranitar, not my favorite Tyranitar. I'm a huge Tyranitar fan. Tyranitar doesn't get a lot of love in the trading card game, in my opinion. Kind of overdue for an SIR or something. Maybe we'll get like a Mega Tyranitar. That would be sick. Unlikely though, but there you go, Tyranitar. Then you could just have a lot of like $20 to $30 to $15 cards. You have Pokemon like Heracross, Sudowoodo. Meryl had a run at some point. Fuecoco is a starter, I guess. The Chi-Yu is a cool art, but it's Chi-Yu. I actually love this Tauros. This Paldean Tauros is pretty incredible, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, the IRs go pretty far. It's just not on Pokemon that are super iconic. I do think the set is very strong in general, with the top level being what it is. It is definitely a little bit overrated for sure. Magikarp up to $289. Again, doing most of the heavy lifting here. The PC ETB with the lovely promo inside, $355, pushing to $400 at this point. And it will probably get there relatively soon. Personally, for PC ETBs that are this expensive and that aren't special sets, I'm just going to say I missed out and I'm moving on. I would personally rather have a booster box of the set, which I have a couple, thankfully. But this is also pushing $400 at this point. It is highly unlikely we get any quantity of booster boxes that is significant going forward. July, it peaked $371, came back down to $346 consolidated. Now in that $360 range, and it's probably priming to make another move at some point over the next 6 months. I'm definitely expecting this to be over $400 by the end of the year. Very expensive, to be fair. I don't think it's like the best investment opportunity. However, I don't see much that is going to move this box down in price. You have to think about what that would actually be. We can speculate and say Mega Blocks, the Mega Block will be better, right? Which I think it is, but that doesn't mean that the price will come down. I just mean it probably more likely means that the price of these boxes will just not move up as quickly as they did when they were more undervalued. So, expect not a lot for maybe this box and base and kind of these other booster boxes, but expect like a decent march up, maybe something a little bit healthier going forward. So, you know, Paldea Evolved, it's going to be a top box of the era. I think if you get in at this price, you'll be relatively safe. I don't really see much tanking it going forward, or at least over the next 6 months. You know, but would I recommend this as like a buy right now over some other opportunities? Probably not. But I could be wrong. I guess we'll see what happens, right? Obsidian Flames, the third set that came out. The set is also just turned 2 years old 2 weeks ago. You know, set value extremely low, although it has ticked up from like $200. A lot of that is because of Charizard and Mega X coming out and the set not being printed as much as it once was, which was literally everywhere. You know, you have a Charizard here, not personally my favorite, not even the best of the era, but you know, it is a top Charizard hit in a Charizard set. So it is what it is. There's also a pretty big buyout recently. Let's see, 319 sold in the last month, around 40 to 50 bucks. 80 are currently listed. And now this card is selling consistently in the $70 range. Look at these sales yesterday, guys. An entire page nearly full of Charizard sold from $60 to $80. This will be a $100 card before you know it. It's going to benefit from this rotation as well. Ninetales, great card. Not the most popular. Had a run up because it was gradable. Now it's come back down. Cleffa, Pidgeot. A lot of people are buying tens of these cards as speculation. I don't think it's the worst play in the world, but I'm looking elsewhere personally. So Obsidian Flames, quite good. The PCTP, obviously, like one of the most expensive. I think it is the most expensive PCTP of the set. No, sorry, 151, but the second most expensive, and it's a main set, which is crazy. Charmander on the box looks great to display. Obviously, the Charmander promo, obviously, a great card, and that Bulbasaur, Vena, and Squirtle in the trio there. Only way you can get it is from this box to stamp, going absolutely bonkers mode. Gonna be $500 before you know it. Still 20 sold a month, 22 listed. That's a pretty healthy sell-through rate for a box this expensive. So, you know, expect some things here for this box. I'm predicting probably a $300 box by the end of the year for me. 151, my personal best investment of this video and probably of all the sets in the Pokemon hobby right now. It goes without saying, original 151. I won't spend too much time on the card list here, but here's a little scroll through it just as a refresher of you know, how fun it is to rip. You know, there's really something here for everybody, just because most of Pokemon fans are interested in Gen 1. I've pulled many of the top hits myself: Alakazam, Blastoise, Japanese Charizard, Zapdos, Charmander, Wartortle, and all that. So fantastic set. The PCETB is approaching $1,000. It will be there before you know it. Not much to say about that. The Ultra Premium Collection, I still think is probably a pretty good buy. Even at these prices, I fully expect this to be $1,000. Excuse me. If you think that there's going to be a $20 pack like I do next year for 151, then you have to think that this will grow at a faster premium with 16 packs and a bunch of amazing promos inside, particularly the Mew. You know, a collection box with Mew on it, like, it's going to do very well. It's going to be $1,000, and it's probably going to grow at a premium. So I predict that it will have a faster growth rate, even at these prices. But most of my attention is on the booster model because it's easy to store. It's pure packs. Not a lot of fluff going on here. As you know, I'm up to 16 of these bad boys. Just got a couple more for 55 each, which I think is a great deal. 592 sold in the last month. I think the data might be a little wonky here. Maybe this will get updated, but yeah, lots listed. Median price 85. I'm not expecting anything too crazy. I still believe that the price of these will eclipse prismatic regular ETBs. I said that weeks ago, or even months ago at this point, in my prediction video that I made. These are $80 right now, market. So it won't be long. I mean, if we get a few more waves of prismatic ETBs, hey, guess what? We're not going to get nearly as many booster bundles as 151. So, and these are going to be easier to store too. So I'm putting a lot of my intention. $60 and under is a snap buy for me. 151 generational set, going to be doing quite well. Don't worry about all the sentiment of, yo, people have so much 151 in their closets. It doesn't matter. It gets ripped like crazy. Everybody wants it. And you want to buy sets that people want, right? Speaking of sets that people really want, Paradox Rift. I'm just kidding. $806 set value, actually quite high, higher than Temporal. Now kind of edging out. And I think there's still a lot of room on some of these cards, particularly Iron Valiant, and especially this Roaring Moon, which I think is a really, really good card. At one point, the top card, it was like 80 bucks. Overtaken by Groudon, Altaria, etc. People really like just Pokemon. No ancient, no future. The gimmicks haven't aged as well as we all predicted. Steelix, I actually would argue that the set is better than Paldea Evolved, personally. Yveltal, this Iron Hands, this Mantike is incredible. I love this card. You know, beyond that, nothing too crazy to speak about, but I think it's a good set. Goldango, very competitive in the TCG. So that will matter less in the future, obviously. This Garchomp, I know a lot of people talk about it. I think it looks like dog shit, but it is Garchomp. But the Altaria, the Groudon, the Roaring Moon, 3 standouts for me. I think the Groudon is a great illustration rare, and I think there's a lot of potential for Paradox Rift in the future, especially once it starts moving out. Now, there is a lot of quantity listed, 162. This is what we've been talking about. But they are being purchased in a decent amount of volume. 85 sold in the last month. For a set like this, that's a pretty good movement at this point in time. And I think in the holiday season, watch out for Paradox Rift. I think it might be a sleeper. But I've been saying this for a while. A lot of people disagree. As far as Scarlet and Violet sets go, it's pretty good, dude. And for 200 bucks, you're probably not going to lose on that. So, you know, once it chews through a little bit of this volume and we get more talks of the rotation moving out, people start potentially FOMOing into these sets. Yeah, listed median 250. I think a $275 box end of year is realistic for a set like this. Now, Paldean Fates is very expensive, and for good reason. The Bubble Mew is about to be $600. 96 have sold in the last month. Huge, huge movement, huge buyouts for this card. People believe it is the top card of the era, and I completely agree. I talked about my reasonings in the last video. 26 are currently listed on TCG Player. That's nearly a 4x sell-through rate. So, yeah, anytime you have a set with a card of this caliber, of this price, good things are going to happen. This will be likely a $1,000 card. I don't know when. In the next year, I would guess. Don't be surprised. The PSA 10 right now is about 2K. So, crazy stuff. The best Charizard in the era also is in this set. The second most expensive card. I actually think this is a little bit undervalued. I think under $200 is going to be a good play. You know, a PSA 10. Pretty decent value right now, in my opinion. If this goes up, I can see the PSA 10 being, you know, 800 bucks at some point. Something in there, right? Gardevoir, shiny Gardevoir. A lovely Gardevoir card. Does the Pokemon justice like the one in base set, but it's shiny, so it's cooler. You know, this is a lovely card, and I think for 86 bucks, that's also a pretty good value. And at 10, $257. You know, we're seeing movement on these cards. They are starting to go up. Now, obviously, there's a greater inherent risk as more gets opened and accept, you know, the price gets affected because there will be more supply. But I think those are pretty standout singles, and I think they will do quite well in a set that's very desired. The PCETB, I've been talking about the PCETB for weeks, months, call it what you want. $200, I said this is a screaming buy, and guess what? It's nearly doubled since then. 380 bucks. I got one at 181. I put my money where my mouth is. I know it's nothing significant, but I'm just an investor like you are, doing what I can. So, you know, these are the types of buys that you look for when the ratio of the regular ETB price to the PCTB is 65%. It's probably an opportunity, which it was at that time. Now that ratio is probably a little bit different. So, yeah, I could see this being $500 by the end of the year quite easily. There's going to be a lot of attention, a lot of price movement on Paldean Fates, particularly in packs, particularly in bundles, and investors are moving into it at a high frequency. 128 sold on August 17th, 3 days ago. Look at this. 1 month, 727 sold, right? 302 listed. That is a different story than 151. I actually think that Paldean Fates has potential to outperform 151. I know everybody's all in on 151. I'm starting to think Paldean Fates could be that. Could outperform 151. Now, long term, I think it's a little bit safer to be on 151. You got the Gen 1 nostalgia. It just is safer. It's tried and true, right? But like you got Gardevoir, you got Charizard, and you got wow, I can't navigate at all. And Mew. So it's kind of the same thing going on. You got a little bit less here, but whether people want to admit it or not, values of cards really matter, and this is going to help this set a lot. $1,500 total set value, very high for Scarlet and Violet era. So I'm going to be looking for plays for bundles for Paldean Fates. I have none, transparently. I have one ETB and one PCTB, and that's it. So I want to build my Paldean Fates position now while I can, before it just gets too crazy. Now, that's not to say that more product isn't going to hit during the holiday season or before April. But every month that goes by, the chances lower. So, and the risk lowers, I should say, more importantly. So keep your eye on Paldean Fates. I think it's going to be a good buy going forward. It has potential to outperform 151. That might be a hot take at this point. But I truly believe that, and investors are thinking the same thing. Bundles, $55, $60, going to be a no-brainer here. You don't need to pay $80 for bundles. You could probably find them cheaper, Facebook and etc. So that's where my attention is going to be, Paldean and 151 going forward. I feel good about my Sword and Shield position. Obviously, if a good play comes up, we'll see, right? I love Sword and Shield. And I think the golden rule is invest in what you like, because if you invest in what you like and you're happy to have it, like myself with Sword and Shield, you're going to stick around longer. And I think Paldean Fates from 151 is going to be that for a lot of people. So thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate it. We're going to end it there. I'll be going on Team Rocket Joey's live tonight, I believe 6 p.m. Eastern time or 6:30. We might move it up. We'll see. But I'm going to be on with Mitch too. So definitely come by, hang out, ask some questions, talk shit about Chilling Reign and Paradox Rift. All good with me. Just going to have a good time. And yeah, guys, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I will see you very soon in the next one. Goodbye.